Look around stuff. Uh, Intel chip replacement on a motherboard. Cautionary tale. Real quick one. I have some Dell T3500 workstations I bought cheap, and they'll support 24 gigabytes of memory. Um, anyway, one of them I didn't realize when I bought it had an old 2-core processor in it. So I looked around, and yeah, you could buy, you can put in the same motherboard a 2-core or a 4 or even a 6-core. So I said, well, I have two of them. The other one had a 4-core in it, and it would support, virtual has 8 cores and lots of threads. So when I realized that the one main computer I was using only had 2 cores, so I looked around and I found a chip, Intel chip that would fit in there that had 4 cores. And I'm familiar with motherboards and so on. And I think I've taken chips out of the socket on the motherboard before, but they changed on me. It used to be that Intel chips had pins sticking down off of the chip, and it was relatively easy. The chips are pretty firm, big, and hard to screw it up. They set down in the holes only one way. There was a certain edge on the chip, and you lined it up and dropped it in. Okay, well, apparently Intel has gone away from that, and they put these flat sort of tabs on the bottom of the chip, lots of them, of course. And the socket then doesn't have pins per se. It has these little copper, they look just like this, and they're kind of springy. They come out of the board like a little blade, and it's springy. Okay, well, when I took the chip off, I don't think I did it then, but when I put the chip back on, I didn't carefully do it well enough and wound up bending a pin. How do I know that? Well, that's really strange. I have a problem with memory. It comes up and says I have 24 gigabytes installed, but it says that only 16 are available, that 8 are reserved by the system. And no matter what I do, I can't change it, and everything leads me to believe I have that pin down in the socket. And I have looked at it, they're really teeny. I just don't have the vision or the tools or the patience or the surgery hands to be able to find the pin that is the problem. It may be pushed down just a teeny bit. Point being is that the memory controller is built into the chip. So it's odd to me, 1 pin or 2 pins, they're bent down and not making good contact. And it affects the memory controller. Of all the things that the chip does and all, it's got 240 pins on it or something. It affects the memory. So, cautionary tale, if you're going to replace the CPU chip on a motherboard, and it depends how the socket is there, you unhook a handle and lift it up, and then you have to slowly lift up the chip. And okay, be very, very careful when you put your replacement chip in. You have to sort of set it right the very first time. It's got to be, you can't like set it down and then move it slightly. Don't do that. It's got to go straight in. If it's not straight in, pull it straight back out. Do not try to slide it or move it on top of those pins, or you'll bend one. I have seen videos where people straighten the pins out. I wasn't able to do it, or the right pin, or it's set down in so it's just depressed a little bit. Something. Cautionary tale. If you're going to replace a CPU chip on the motherboard, be very careful. They don't have pins anymore sticking down off the chip that drop right into a socket. It's contact. The chip comes down and the little metal tab is supposed to ride on this springy piece of like a blade that's sticking up out of the socket. That's all for today. Is Uncle Ron and stuff, and this is a cautionary tale about Intel chip replacement on motherboards. And today is the 22nd of December. Merry Christmas, and here we go again. Bye bye.